Good evening and welcome to the Ogden City Council meeting of May 24th, 2016. Please note that all council members are present except for Councilmember Stevens, who is asked to be excused tonight. With that, I'm going to turn the time over to Vice Chair Blair for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Thank you. Please rise. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Please take a moment of silence with me. Thank you. Before we get started, I just wanted to make sure that people know that this is the City Council meeting, and directly after that is the Redevelopment Agency meeting. I see a lot of you out in the audience, and I just want to make sure that you understand there is a council meeting first, and then there will be a Redevelopment Agency after that, meeting after that. With that, next on our agenda is public hearings for the proposed removal of the Stout home from the local historic register.
Madam Chair, members of the council, as you mentioned, this first item is to look at removal of the Stout home from the local register. Property is located at 885 12th Street, and there we go. The home was placed on the register back in 1986 by the owner of the property. It was kind of an old farm home, one of the last remaining buildings in the general area, done in a Mid-Atlantic I-style home. And the original owner of the property, Alan Stout, was one of the early pioneers of the area, and the home was built in 1882. So it had been on the register since 1986. But a fire in 2010 damaged the home to such a point that it had to be removed in May of 2011. Because this item is on the local register, it is recorded with the title of the property. With the demolition of the building, the reasons it was placed on the register are no longer valid, and the ordinance requires that the same decisions need to be made to remove it from the register as to place it on the register. The reason it was placed on the register is the architectural significance of that early style of pioneer home in the area, and the fact that it encompassed a property. It was one of the last farm areas in Ogden. And with the removal of the building, those two reasons for it to be on the register no longer exist. So the Landmarks Commission has recommended that this item be removed from the local register since it fails to meet the criteria which was first placed on the register.
Any question? Okay, great, thank you.
With no further questions, this public hearing first.
Open.
And I'll make a motion that we open the public hearing.
I'll second.
There is a motion to open the public hearing for to talk about the Stout home by Councilmember Garner, second by Councilmember Heyer. This is a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes. Anyone want to talk about the Stout home? Okay.
Since there's no movement, I'll make a motion that we close the public hearing.
That also.
We have a motion to close the public hearing by Councilmember Garner, second by Councilmember Heyer. This is a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That passes.
And with that, I will make a motion that we adopt proposed ordinance 2016-28.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilmember Garner, second by Councilmember Heyer. This is a roll, to adopt this ordinance, this is a roll call vote.
Councilmember Gardner,
Aye.
Councilmember Heyer,
Aye.
Councilmember Lopez,
Aye.
Councilmember Nadolski,
Aye.
Vice Chair Blair,
Aye.
Chair White.
Aye. That passes. Thank you. Next up is reports, the reports from the Planning Commission.
Planning Commission reviewed a petition to amend the height of buildings in the DDR zone, and the Planning Commission is forwarding you a recommendation regarding not only the petition, but also to expand that petition to include revisions to the M1 zone. The reason for the petition was a concern from Business Depot Ogden that with new development trends, warehousing distribution facilities are storing items taller, and their systems have more height and to be more efficient. And with that trend, our present limit of 40 feet prohibits them from using the latest technology to market the resource of BDO to those who are looking for distribution warehousing facilities. So a petition was filed to make an amendment for the DDR zone. And on the map in front of you, you see that DDR zone is kind of the central core of the Business Depot Ogden. The Nature Center, of course, is zoned 01, and MRD zoning is next to the Nature Center. And so the DDR zone is further away from the Nature Center and defined by White Drive. The petition caused us to take a look at present standards, and as we looked at it, we have a high limit of 40 feet in the M1 zone and a high limit of 40 feet in the DDR, and the BEE, which is the business exchange, of 50 feet and 35 feet, and the BEH, which is around the old stock exchange building. Should make note also that even though the MRD says there's no height, the ordinance also has a requirement that when it's adjacent to the Nature Center, there's a 40-foot height limit. So you can see in their manufacturing zones, we have a variation of a height limit of some areas and no height limit in other areas. And so the request to look at the change in the DDR from 40 to 50 feet, as we looked at it, felt that the same reasons that apply to the petition also ought to apply to the M1, that they also have warehousing uses in them. And if we're going to make a change, we ought to also make that change to the M1 zone so that those same opportunities exist for both areas. Originally, the M1 zone had no height limit, but the height limit was established because it was next to generally residential, which had a 35-foot height limit. And as we looked at the impacts, we felt that this revision, we could protect the character of residential neighborhoods where the manufacturing may be next to it, but also meet the needs of the current development trends. And so the Planning Commission, as they looked at it, they took into concern the items the Nature Center had mentioned, and should make mention that BDO has been working with the Nature Center and has come up with an agreement that even with the revisions we'll be making and for your consideration tonight, that there still be a 45-foot height limit of those properties that are right next to the Nature Center in the DDR zone. And this is something both BDO and the Nature Center have agreed to. It's not in the ordinance, but they've entered into an agreement to work that out so that there can be that transition, because as the Nature Center's concerns are the visibility from the facilities they have and trying to preserve the character of that area, that a transition from the trees, the open space area, the 40 feet of the MRD, the 45 foot next to it, will allow that view shed to have the trees block those uses. And so that's a consideration that they have worked out. The Planning Commission recommendation to you tonight, though, is to amend the M1 zone to have a 50-foot height limit, except it be 40 foot when it's next to residential zone property, to maintain the reason we set the height limit to begin with in the M1 zone, and also to amend the DDR zone to have a 50-foot height limit so that both can accommodate the new changes that are taking place in technology and stacking systems. And so that's the recommendation of the Planning Commission.
So is this, I'm just curious, on the M1 zone, is this considered all throughout the entire city, it'll be 50 feet?
Correct. Well, and except for when it abuts a residential property, and then it would still have that 40-foot limit. But we felt that the reason for the DDR change would also be applicable to the M1, that they both have warehousing, they both would have those same type of systems, and so to be competitive, they both should have that advantage,
Greg,
that height revision.
she asked if it was in the entire city. It's just at
The M1
BDO.
zones in the entire
One,
city.
just the M1.
Yes. Just a comment. So all of us serve on boards, external boards, so that we can keep touch with various parts of the community. And one of my assignments by this council is to serve on the Nature Center Board of Directors. So I just want to thank Blake Wallen for being a good neighbor to the Nature Center. In all accounts, everyone I've talked to, they've been very positive in your interaction. And Blake, you've been very proactive in reaching out to the Nature Center. You've built a good relationship over the years. So thank you for that.
Any more questions for Mr. Montgomery?
Does adjacent mean just the property adjoining?
That abuts it,
Okay,
yes.
so it doesn't, if there's some distance, then it doesn't apply?
No.
Okay, great.
Because generally, that impact would be just what happens in the neighborhood, because as you get further back, that height won't be as
Okay.
impactful.
Yeah, I just thought it seemed maybe a
Yeah.
little vague, but it's probably not. It's fine.
That's the common phrase we use in all that.
Okay, thank you.
And Madam Chair, would it be appropriate to hear from the petitioner?
Yeah,
at
that's what
this
I was
time?
going to do. Right next is Mr. Wallen, if you'd come up, and we'd love to hear from you.
Thank you. Blake Wallen with the Boyer Company at Business Depot Ogden, 1150 South Depot Drive. We filed the petition, and as Greg Montgomery stated, one of the concerns was just the new technology that allows for racking to go higher. We're currently working with 3 potential tenants now that exceed that 40-foot height limitation, and so it allows us some flexibility, in the DDR zone. Just by clarification, there is no DDR zone adjacent to the Nature Center. Everything that's adjacent to the Nature Center is the MRD, which restricts the height limit to 40 feet. The 45-foot limitation is literally adjacent to White Drive, which is really the next tier back. And so it's that step from 40 feet to 45 feet, then to the 50 feet as we get into the heart of BDO. And the DDR zone and the MRD zone are specific to BDO themselves. So we've tried to work out any concerns with the Nature Center, realizing their concerns, and we feel that it gives us some flexibility throughout much of the vacant ground that's still open at BDO. And with that, I'd just answer any questions that the City Council has.
I just echo what Councilmember Nadolski says, and thank you for working with Ogden Nature Center out there.
You're welcome. Thank you.
You ready for a motion?
We need some,
Public input, okay.
so there is an opportunity for anyone to speak about this petition.
Seems there's no movement. I will or propose that we adopt ordinance 2016-29.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilmember Garner and a second by Councilmember Lopez to adopt this proposed ordinance. This is a roll call vote.
Councilmember Heyer,
Aye.
Councilmember Lopez,
Aye.
Councilmember Nadolski,
Aye.
Councilmember Gardner,
Aye.
Vice Chair Blair,
Aye.
Chair White.
Aye, that passes. Thank you, Blake. Next on our agenda is an opportunity, it's public comment, an opportunity to address the council regarding concerns or ideas on any topic. Again, this is the council meeting, so if you have concerns to talk about in the RDA meeting, that's next. Certainly, please come up, state your name and address, and you will have 3 minutes.
My name is Brian Nestrick, and I live at 676 East 21st Street here in Ogden. And the only thing I wanted to bring to the council's attention is 30th and Harrison, we have a turning lane but no turning light. And if you've ever been heading northbound on Harrison trying to make a left-hand turn on 30, The only way you get through is by blocking the intersection, which is very dangerous, and waiting for the light to change, and one person gets through. I ride UTA all the time, and there's 2 dedicated bus routes that turn there, not to mention the fact that 30th Street is a feeder to both of our interstates, 84 and 15. So it's a problem. It's a safety concern, and it just doesn't make sense to have a dedicated turning lane with no turning light with the volume of traffic that's at that intersection. So I just wanted to bring it to the council's attention and see if there's something that we can do about it. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian.
Welcome. Hello.
Please
My name-
state your name and address.
Jonathan Woods, 2570 Fell Avenue. So we have blocks where we're stationed at. We have a lot of kids that run around, and it's been a disaster with a lot of people that's been driving down very, very fast. And I just want to know if there's a solution to it.
Tell me, where are they driving quickly, fast? What street?
2515, 25 Fowler Avenue. It's pretty much right by
Fowler?
Rancho Market.
Okay.
I've been asking for a solution for the last 3 years, and it hasn't happened.
So Jonathan, are you primarily talking about east and west along 25th and 26th Street, or
It's north and south,
on Monroe or Fowler? Or?
Fowler,
Okay.
right by Rancho Market. I'm just worried about the kids. There's about 18 of them, and we've been having some problems with it, and also some problems also.
Okay. Thank you.
We will relay your concerns to administration and see what they say.
One quick question, Madam Chair.
Yes, please.
So you said that you tried to talk to someone before about this?
Yes,
How did
I
you do
talked
that?
to the police 3 years ago, and they haven't. Well, I gave them a solution, but they haven't did anything. I
That's
mean,
something-
it's the same problem where everything's going on right now. But
Thank you.
thank you.
Anyone else? Great. Thank you for your comments. Comments from the mayor.
Yeah, a couple quick things. Harrison's a UDOT road, so we'll make sure that they're aware of that, and we'll pass that along, and we'll have our traffic engineer look at what's happening with the concern that was just addressed. We appreciate you both bringing those up, and we'll look into that. And then I would like to just give a huge thank you to the Gold Crew, city staff, and the Army of Volunteers that showed up in some very difficult weather on Saturday to process 10,000 runners for the Ogden Marathon that came through. Medical did a great job with my daughter and many other people. That could have been really interesting, but it's amazing to see that community come together and support something so unique. So we really appreciate the 10,000 plus volunteer hours that went into that, and can't thank them enough.
Council members?
Just want to echo Brian's comments about that light. I work right on that corner for my day job, and it is actually quite a hassle to make that turn. So I will be very appreciative of really looking into that. Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you.
Chair White, I just want to thank my fellow council members and members of the administration who helped support a group of neighbors in a neighborhood that's having some challenges and has had some recent crime issues. We had a group of people come together to address this issue, and they asked for city support, city resources, and 3 of us showed up from the council and members of the administration, and we're actively working to address that issue. So thank you to OPD for all they're doing.
And just personally, I do again want to thank those who helped support the marathon on Saturday, from the community volunteers, from the Ogden City employees, and the Gold Foundation. What a great opportunity, and especially to those heroes who ran that marathon in the rain. 40-mile-per-hour winds in the mouth of the canyon, and still they weathered through that and came to the finish line. And I saw a lot of people who had that as a lifetime goal for them, and I saw a lot of tears and joy and happiness, and it was just an opportunity for me to personally be grateful to have that chance to work with them, so thank you.
If I may, just one more thing, if I may, as a follow-up also, if, I don't know if Brian is willing to give us your contact information, but Madam Chair, I would love to see if there can be follow-up to his request on findings on what we can do. Would that be okay? Okay. Thank you.
I just want to echo for someone who did 2 clothing changes through the, on the finish line there. It was very wet and cold and rainy. So, but we made it. We're here tonight, so.
Madam Chair, one thing that's not near as fun as the marathon or any of that stuff, but we are embarking on summer season. I think it's ahead. It keeps tricking us, but we'll be doing summer watering and that kind of thing, and it's come to my attention that Weber Basin Water Conservancy District has a rebate program that Ogden City residents are eligible for if you buy a smart water sprinkler timer. And it will rebate half of that cost up to $150, and can save a lot of money for those who, and a lot of water, maybe more importantly, if you install one of those and then have a water audit to verify that with Weber Basin. So kind of a neat program. I think we should be looking at that to conserve our resources. And it's not our money directly. City's money, I guess I should say.
Fantastic. Thanks. Any others?
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion that we adjourn the city council meeting.
I'll second.
Got a good thing going between you two there. Motion to adjourn by Councilmember Garner, second by Councilmember Heyer. This is a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes. All right, welcome to the, do you want me to go through that as well, or you're good with that? Okay. Welcome to the Special Redevelopment Agency meeting of May 24th, 2016. Please note that all board members are present except for Board Member Stevens, who is asked tonight to be excused. With that, we have next on our agenda is a public hearing for the Oak Den Urban Renewal Project, and I'd like to turn the time over to administration.
Tom Kostopoulos will address you.
Commissioners and members of the community that are councilmen, we're not at the commissioners, council people.
Board members.
Board members, yes, we are there. I'll get it right, third one. And those of you from the neighborhood that I can only see through my back of the, we're all very glad that you could make it for the opening of this particular discussion. We want to thank you for the interest and involvement in the community, and the last week has been interesting, and it may appear at first glance that we don't have a lot of common goals. As you are aware, we began about a year ago with the Quality Neighborhoods program, and part of the implementation of that program was the implementation of a larger than normal renewal redevelopment district from 26th Street on the south to 23rd Street on the north between Madison and Jackson. There are over 400 properties within the district. In a meeting last night, there were a number of, that I attended, there were a number of concerns that were brought up by some of the members of that neighborhood and some of the adjacent neighborhood members. Many of those that we can share with crime and a small minority of properties that are negatively impacting property values throughout the area. So we believe that we have some of the same goals that we're trying to work towards. This is the first attempt in putting together this redevelopment area. We noticed a requirement for we followed the statutory requirement for notice of a hearing to all property owners. But it's clear that that notice did not fully communicate the message that we had intended or the goals or intentions of the Quality Neighborhood Program, let alone the development agency and what we had planned for this redevelopment project area. Because of that inability to communicate exactly what we had planned or for it to be understood correctly, we believe that it should take some time over the next little while to make it clear what the city hopes to accomplish by the efforts that we had started with Quality Neighborhoods. There has been some misinformation and some misunderstandings that have contributed to the concerns you have, and as members of the community, many have expressed those concerns and feelings. I'm not sure that we've been able to fully address those. In order to fully address those, which is the intent of the administration, we've decided to take a pause with the Oak Den URA process by postponing today's hearing to an undetermined date and spend some time communicating with the members of the public in that area and make sure that we know of those that are interested and that it would make sense to go forward. It makes very little sense if we don't have public support to take and make investments in that area to the degree that we would like to. We have scheduled an open house for June the 2nd, and that's contrary to the date that I gave you earlier, at the Madison Elementary School from noon to 8 p.m. We will have time in that particular discussion. We will be there all day. It's a drop-in open house. Anybody can come and ask whatever questions they want. We'll basically be going, there isn't a formal presentation. We're just answering any of the questions based on any of the information that people think they may need to have reviewed. There may be other open houses as we feel that they're necessary, and I also want to make sure that everyone has my email address. That is Tom Christopoulos, and that is spelled CHRISTOPULOS at ogdencity.com. I know that's a very long email address, but the city gave it to me, so.
Not your last name.
Yes, and the last name. Please feel free to email me at any time. If you want to have a conversation directly, you can contact me through that email address and we'll set up a time to meet, even if you want to meet outside of the open house. So with that, we are requesting of the redevelopment board to postpone the future hearing until an undetermined time, until we've had enough time to speak with all the community at some greater length. Thank you.
Madam Chair, can I ask a clarifying question? There's a flyer that's been given out that says the time is 6:30 to 8:30 on June 2nd.
We expanded that.
So it's noon.
And there'll be another flyer that goes out to
Noon to
expand the
8,
time.
correct?
Noon to 8.
Okay, thank you.
I hope somebody comes early.
So my understanding is we need a motion to remove the item from the agenda.
Madam Chair, I would make a motion that we postpone this item until further notice.
Second.
Chair,
I think we have to just remove the item from the agenda, and
Okay, I will make a motion that we remove this item from our Special Redevelopment Agency meeting agenda.
Second.
We have a motion by Board Member Heyer, second by Vice Chair Blair to remove the motion, or to remove the item from the agenda. This is a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes. So let me reiterate that there will be a open house June 2nd from 12 to 8. Is that correct?
Correct.
At James Madison Elementary School. It is a drop-in open house. There's not a formal open house. It's to ask questions. And if you need to get a hold of Tom, it is Tom Christopoulos at ogdencity.com. It sounds like he will meet with you. Okay. All right, next on our agenda is public comments. This is an opportunity to address the board regarding concerns or ideas on any topic. If you would like, you could come and address us, and you have 3 minutes. No one? Okay. All right. Yeah, please.
Kyle Crookston, 764 25th Street. So I don't know if this is necessary or not, but that's why I'm up here, is just to clarify. So as far as any questions we have, we'll have opportunity to address those in the future and, you know, possibly at the open house. Is that correct?
I'll try to clarify, and I will look towards our executive director down here to make sure I'm making sense of this. We've taken it off the agenda and are, as a request from administration, it sounds as though they are going to postpone the study and that they will have an open house to try to resolve any issues that you have in between now and another attempt at bringing this study back onto the redevelopment agency's agenda. Or direct contact. Or direct contact, yeah, thank you. Right.
Okay.
Did that clarify that?
Did.
Okay.
I'll just say this, and this may or may not be the best place to say it, but I don't know how many people I speak for, but I know for myself, the big concern that we had with the redevelopment agency was the aspect of eminent domain being considered. From what I understand, there's different ways that you could address redevelopment without the use of eminent domain. And so I know for myself, and I think probably for many others, that's kind of our major concern. So I'd be interested in just kind of the feedback and thinking from the agency, you know, what the thinking or the motivation behind that was.
I think those questions should be asked in either directly to in the open house or directly to Tom. If that's probably a better person to ask that question to.
Okay. Very good. That's all I have.
Thanks. Anybody else? All right. Any comments from the executive director?
Nothing at this time. Thank you.
Board members? I just want to thank everyone for being here. Very rarely do we see anyone show up for our meetings, so I appreciate seeing faces in the audience. So,
Madam Chair, I do have one quick comment. I just want to thank the administration for recognizing the interest of the public to learn more about this and postponing it and doing this open house. I think that is really at the core of our need to connect with our citizens better. So thank you very much for taking that step. Really appreciate it.
Same comment for me as well, Madam Chair. Thank you, administration, for taking a pause on this so that we have a better chance to hear from more people and get a more balanced view on this before we make a very important decision.
And for you who are here tonight, I would encourage you to go to this open house. Question came up about eminent domain and the process. All of those things will truly be addressed in a way that I think will help you understand it rather than just hearing eminent domain. Eminent domain is not something that we as a city have come up as, our part of our process, but it is a state regulation, and I think that will help you with that understanding of that process. So I encourage you to please come to the open house and listen to the process.
Comments?
Motion to adjourn?
Second?
Motion by Board Member Iyer, second by Board Member Lopez to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes. Thank you again for your participation, and please
Drive
go
safe.
to the open house. Yeah.